Hi there, I'm Khush Mark and I am the founder and principal of the New School of Nutritional Medicine. I'm also a functional medicine practitioner, practicing nutritional therapy and a homeopath. I wanted to really first of all say thank you very much for those of you who responded to my post a few days ago about the hormones involved during sort of perimenopause, menopause, and what you thought the hierarchy was. And the reason why I was asking that question is because I'm surrounded by friends and family some of them are going through the same stage as me in my life and who are talking about all the symptoms, but really are not very clear on what happens in the body, what is happening to the hormones. And I think it's really important as women that we understand our hormones and the changes that we go through. So some will, I've heard women say, oh my gosh, you know what, I don't want to go through that. I don't want to hear any more about the menopause or the perimenopause. And it sort of has a bad reputation. And I really don't know why that is the case. Yes, it's not easy for some, and I can totally understand that. If we track back, what in sort of functional medicine, nutritional medicine, we say that menopause is a bit like the ovaries going into retirement, and then the adrenals are like your pension plan. So do you have a pension plan? Have you looked after your adrenals in the past few decades? And most of us will say, no, or what are they? How do I do that? So if we are a mum or a busy person, we might be running a business, we might be going into work, we might be commuting, and then we've got children to look after as well on top of that, and we're looking after our children, we're getting them ready for school, so we do the school run, then we get to work, whether it's at home or go to the office, then come back, pick the children up, take them to their different clubs, then come home, then cook dinner, and then they want attention, then they're doing their homework, you're supporting them for their homework. Breathe. That's adrenals. That's adrenals. That's your pension plan. Are you already drawing out of your pension plan? Do you have a pension plan for your perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause? So I'm not saying get rid of your children, and I'm not saying quit your job, because this is life. But how do you manage the stresses in your life? That's the first question. And that hormone that's involved, cortisol, is the adrenal hormone. So if this hormone is very important during menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause, then we want to be able to put some money into the bank, our adrenal bank. So if you're not there yet, think about your future. Think about your future health. Think about you. We also talk about look back. Think about your inner child. Work on your inner child. What about working on your future self? What about working on your future menopause Khush, your future perimenopause Khush, or whoever you are? Think about your adrenals. Start putting the pension plan into your adrenals, because once those ovaries start to retire, the adrenals that produce also cortisol, the backup for a whole load of biochemical reactions in the body, are very important. So when you go on a sugar-free diet, a diet that's free from carbohydrates, a more protein-based diet during menopause or perimenopause, that kind of area, you will find that some of your symptoms of menopause, especially the hot flushes, just clear. They go. And this is a given. Try it out if you want to. No sugar, no refined carbohydrates, no gluten, no alcohol. No alcohol. Yeah, I hear you. And then see how you feel. So why does this happen? Why doesn't it happen before? As the hormones start, the estrogen stays high during perimenopause, progesterone starts to drop. Some women have that bigger gap. And that bigger gap it's not great, because we want to support that balance through making sure you're detoxing your estrogen, you're supporting your detox pathways, you've got a healthy liver, healthy gallbladder, healthy detox eliminatory pathway, so you're pooping at least once a day. So that's important. But also balancing your blood sugar. What's the food on your plate? What does it look like? What are you having for breakfast? So the more low cortisol you have, the symptoms would be more kind of fatigue, tired, you're kind of more reliant on stimulants in the morning. You might need a coffee to get you going, or a good strong cup of tea. You may be relying on some really quick, sugary kind of breakfast carbohydrate type fix to actually get those adrenals, that cortisol, try to give yourself a bit of a boost. And then a couple of hours later, you need to eat something else as well. And then you also might notice that you do struggle to get out of bed in the mornings as well. What you also might notice is that your aches, your joints kind of feel achy, and your hips and your knees, they start feeling a bit achy. Cortisol is your natural anti-inflammatory hormone. Okay, another sign of low cortisol can be that you crave salt. Okay, so I've mentioned in my cell salts course about the cell salt natmure, which is sodium chloride, which is really important for the adrenals. And some people might find that when they lie down and they get up and they feel really giddy, that can be also an indication of kind of low cortisol, because that's we're looking at this adrenal reserve. Okay, the other thing that you might find with low cortisol is the inability to have a good restful sleep, and generally feeling slightly tired, not functioning like you used to. You might still be doing all the exercise, they're doing the cardio, the HIIT program, because you think, okay, I'm gaining this weight during my menopause and I want to lose weight. So you're doing exercises that you used to work for you before. You're still eating the same, you're still doing the exercise, and now suddenly you're gaining weight. And that's because of what we go through is insulin resistance. So in order to look after your insulin sensitivity, to allow your body to be more sensitive, your cells, your receptors to insulin to be more sensitive to the insulin, you want to look after the food on your plate. What is it like? Is it balanced? You also want to make sure that the exercise that you're doing is not crazy HIIT type overexertion, because that's just going to exhaust you even more. So how are you looking after yourself in the 20s and in your 30s is really important. But if you're already in this stage right now, then it's all about looking after yourself, putting yourself first. Are you getting sleep? Are you taking time out? Are you meeting friends and having a good conversation, having a good cry? I mean, again, during perimenopause, menopause, some women become a lot more emotional. They become more teary, or they can become more aggressive, more angry. And sometimes you feel that yourself, that you don't like yourself. What's going on? Why am I behaving like this? And that is also because of the change. So be gentle to yourself, be kind to yourself. But at the same time, remember, hormones are changing. This is not going to last forever. But blood sugar balancing is really important. Looking after your adrenals is really important. And just most important thing is be kind to yourself, because we look back and you think, how did I do that? How did I do all that in my 20s and in my 30s? How did I do it? And now we are where we are. So if you are where you are, that's okay. And you don't have to think, oh my goodness, I've heard so much about perimenopause, I've heard so much about menopause and I don't want to face it, oh, I'm dreading it. You don't have to dread it, okay? You can book in with a nutritional therapist, you can book in with one of my team, you can join the school if you want to learn to do this and train in nutritional therapy and life coaching, because the coaching aspect is really important. Because sometimes we say, oh, everybody's stressed. Everybody's stressed. Who's not stressed? So is that normal to be stressed now? So we just say, okay, we're all stressed, and then we hit menopause, we hit perimenopause, and it's really challenging, and it doesn't have to be. Okay, so I hope that helps. So in the hierarchy, I would look at cortisol, because cortisol sort of takes over all the others. It takes charge. We've got a really good post at the New School of Nutritional Medicine social media and Facebook, and I think Instagram, which is on cortisol. It's called Cortisol is the Queen. It's a great, and it goes into a bit more detail about cortisol. So feel free to go and have a look at that reel, and post me some comments. Let me know what you thought of this, and I will be posting some more. I want to do a bit more on perimenopause and menopause and explain, because I've gone through what low cortisol looks like, but also what does high cortisol look like. So this is where I think cortisol is important in the hierarchy. Insulin is important. It comes alongside because of that blood sugar balancing. And a tip, if you want to check out whether you are slightly insulin resistant, one way you'd know is if you're eating the same foods that you did before and now you're gaining weight. Okay, that's one. Number two, if you have a blood test done and you look for your HbA1c. If you get blood tested, look for your HbA1c, and you want it to be in the middle of the range or on the lower side. If it's anywhere towards the higher side, that indicates that you may be insulin resistant. And I'm saying maybe because I'm not diagnosing, I'm not saying just because your HbA1c is on the higher side, you are insulin resistant. But generally, clients that I see who do that blood test, they tend to be insulin resistant. So that's a tip. And I do highly recommend getting your blood test done regularly, like twice a year, because it's good for overall health. And, nutritional medicine is ideally about prevention. But we've hit a stage in life now where it's really about people wait to come and see a nutritional therapist like myself when they actually fall ill or they've been diagnosed with a condition. So if you're in your 20s, in your 30s, in your earlier years, in your 40s, even earlier on, whilst everything's all, we're not even thinking about hormones. Some women might be thinking about hormones if they're going through conditions like endometriosis, infertility, but generally most women just sail through it, and then boom, perimenopause comes, menopause comes, like what on earth happened? Okay, so I hope this has been helpful. Please comment below. Let me know if this was helpful, and if it was, I'll do a part 2. Thanks very much for listening. Bye-bye.